Hey, wait, that's not Monolith. Then again, neither is that.
The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
Do, 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 do. Actually, that's rather underwhelming. Even when tilted on its side, the Series X's box is not as big as 2010's Monolith, which means it's smaller than 2010's Monolith, and probably smaller than regular Monolith too. So, in a way, no, I don't think we're looking at the monolith of console gaming here. But let's not let a perfectly good video go to waste, even if the title is kind of bleh. Well, folks, if you follow my community posts over the last few years, you'd know that I've been keeping an eye on the Xbox Series X, in no small part because it kind of looks like a gaming PC. Specifically, the gaming PCs that I often build. Monoliths! Little black boxes that are function over form, at least with, what the kids are doing nowadays with the bazillion light-up fans and whatever else is popular. I don't know, I'm old. Maybe I should poke around Newegg more often these days. But anyways, I found out about the deep discount on Xbox Series consoles, including the Series X, which has nosedived from $1,000 down to $350. When you start getting into the 300s, that's about what I've paid for laptops in the Wii U before. So things become a lot more interesting when you can catch a high-volume Black Friday-style holiday humbug sale on hardware like this. So I figured I'd bite the bullet. And plus, I've never had an Xbox before. I was scared away by the red ring of death on the 360, nearly 20 years ago. Whatever it is. It's at least 15 years by now, I think. Late 2000s, early 2020s. I think there's been more than enough time for Microsoft to look like morons and learn how not to do things between the red ring of death and the horrendous launch of the Xbox One way back in the day. As it stands right now at the end of 2023, they've become the underdog in the console scene. In part because Xbox and PC gaming are kind of hand-in-hand with each other these days, so Microsoft's brought them so close together, it's almost not even worth it for me to even have an Xbox in the first place. But there's a couple of things in the digital store that I'm interested in, plus secondhand Xbox games, seeing which games work as key discs and the like in today's digital world. You could say I'm basically using this to compare against PC and see how it functions essentially as a Microsoft Steam box. Power your dreams, as opposed to your X's? Okay, enough Xbox jokes, or Exobics jokes. Although the Exobics thing was more of a thing with the original Xbox logo 20 years ago. Getting old sucks. Anyways, let's check this thing out. We already know it's probably not going to be as big as the towers I build these days, but, I don't know. Dig out the kazoo? Woo! Power your dreams with a crap ton of styrofoam. Oh boy, this is even smaller now. Oh man, the box kind of made it look bigger than it actually. We're digging out the kazoo. That thing's been in my desk for way too long. Oh man, are you kidding me? So, this is just one of those classic things I remember from years and years of shopping on Newegg. Never be fooled by product pictures, they may look different than what they actually are. This looks like a gaming PC in every online listing out there because you have no perspective whatsoever. However, in reality, it really is. It's like, yeah. Look at that, it's like... Man, this thing is small. I'm going to run it on its side, but of course, we know the PS5 plastic taco is way bigger than this thing, but If there was such thing as a mini ITX tower, that's probably what this would be in terms of size. Oh man, how are we going to fit this into my setup? Ports in the back are pretty decent. Round for power, HDMI, special storage expansion for those storage thingies that you can actually play the games off of. I might pick one up later, but it comes with a terabyte to start with. So solid state, super speed USB ports. Thinking too much about the solid state drive technology this thing uses. So yeah, it looks pretty decent. Definitely looks like a gaming PC. Accessories, beefy HDMI cable, power cable, double A's I'm never going to use because I have rechargeable NIMS, and of course the PowerA packs, and of course who could forget the series controller. I now have 3 of these things, so I'm probably going to do 2 for my setup up front, and I don't know. We'll upgrade this to a PowerA kit at some point, but yeah, for now I'm just going to put some rechargeable NIMS in it to fire it up. Alright, here's the plan, even though this looks totally stupid. Since these things look like computers, we're going to treat it like a computer. That's a 1080p display. Should be able to take signal from it. And of course, we also have a USB in the front too if we need it. But first boot of the Series X in 3, 2, 1. Da-da-ding! Let's get this controller going too. Let's see. Nothing for noise out of this thing. The display's up and running though. There's not going to be any sound because it's a monitor, not a television. But there we go, Xbox. Now, how do we get this thing going here? It's looking for something. Well, it's not in pairing mode, so we'll just play dumb and see what it does after it finishes booting. It's just like booting a computer, though. You sure there's an SSD in this thing? Oh, man. Right, we'll be back. Set up with the Xbox app. Of course, the good news is, since I'm a PC gamer, I already have that, so we just punch in the code to set up the Xbox. Handy that. Told you that PC gaming and Xbox gaming were kind of hand in hand these days. Yep, there we go. Yep, bunch of updates now. I told you it was like setting up a computer. This OS reminds me of Windows 10 as well. Probably because it's Microsoft. Welcome, MultimediaJay. Press and hold the Xbox button to turn on your controller. Because you're not a PC gamer that's been using our controllers for years, you moron. Oh, I gotta hit A2Y. Click. See, I told you this reminds me of Windows 10. Please join Game Pass! Please join Game Pass! Please join Game Pass! Xbox Game Pass. The Microsoft Edge of the Xbox world. Whatever.
Epic fail.
And now the fun part, where I spend all afternoon downloading Forza. And here's what I'm talking about right here, with Xbox and PC gaming being so hand in hand. I can poke around on the Xbox store without even having to fire the thing up and send it to the device. Kind of like installing an Android game. This is Rare Replay. It's got the Banjo series and a bunch of other Rare games that I, no pun intended, that I would more than gladly play on a more modern console and say goodbye to my N64 version of Banjo-Kazooie. So we're just going to send this over. It's on sale right now, $7. Reminds me of a Steam sale. We're going to send it on over to Monolith-X. Well, what else was I going to call this thing? And there it is. There we go, already. Yep, using this thing as a green Steam box. Banjo-Kazooie, higher resolution, coming over from the 360, of course, 360 era, of course, in the Rare Replay bundle. So finally, I can play this game without having to look through the eyesore that is Nintendo 64 mid-90s anti-aliasing. It totally does look like a PC game. But maybe I've just come to associate PC games with better graphics for so long that now we got this coming out at 1080p like this. Hey, what can I say? Emulators can be a lot of fun. Right, Microsoft? Almost time to go put this in the setup. But it wouldn't be a wacky world of MultimediaJay without a kilowatt test on this thing. Now, there is a sleep option that keeps this thing on at about 20 to 30 watts so it can still do stuff and whatnot. But I've turned that off, so it completely and totally shuts off when you actually shut it down. Now, let's see what we have. My prediction is that the wattage is similar to that of a Delosaurus. 92, 72, 70s, 60s. Anything on the screen yet? Yep, there's the Xbox. 68, 65, 66. We are signed in, ready to sign in on the dashboard. And just loading the OS gets us to 60 watts. Let's get a game going and see what that goes up to. Alright, well, Banjo-Kazooie seems to be the only 3D app that'll run right now while Forza finishes downloading. But just with some 3D going, now that we're out of the OS, we're cracking the 100-watt mark. This is kind of reminding me of a Delosaurus to an extent, and given what it is, I shouldn't be surprised. Although I'm sure this has a lot more graphical horsepower than Delosaurus's. Although I'm curious what this becomes when we play a more modern game like Forza instead of a incredibly upscaled game from a generation ago. Almost there anyways, end of the 90s, but Banjo-Kazooie was pretty fun back in the day, and it's half the reason why I want to get this download done and test Forza and then put it in the setup while everything else downloads. Alright, we finally got Forza working. It's running in offline mode, I have no idea why, but we'll fiddle with that later. So, when this thing is going nuts, we're flirting with the 175 watt mark. So that's what you get out of the Series X. Yeah, it does kind of remind me of a Delosaurus. There was a 30 FPS higher graphical fidelity mode available, but I'm running this in the performance mode, the 60 FPS version. Either way, I just want it to be like a PC, because I'm curious what kind of what is the equivalent of PC settings that I'm getting out of this. So yeah, it basically looks kind of like a gaming computer, and I'm kind of treating it like a gaming computer. Oh wait, that's why. That's why it's running in offline mode, because online on a console is paywalled. Hello, Xbox Game Pass. So it looks like a gaming PC. Okay, so I'm basically going to just do a performance comparison of these Forza games, then I'm going to uninstall them, because I would rather play Forza games on PC. Seriously, the old Xbox Live problem is still alive and well, and it's one of the key reasons why I'm a PC gamer. Nice try, Microsoft. Blech, rotten setup, but that'll get it going at least. I probably have to rearrange a few things, as I really don't like the vent from this thing blowing into the power strip for literally everything else. Either way, it fits. Certainly fits a lot better than the plastic taco would have. Ugh. Oh man. I'm telling you, no YouTube video is going to do this justice, even if I was directly capturing the footage. But I have spent the past half hour or so playing through Forza Horizon, just noodling around in the world and doing a few races on the Xbox. And it is definitely a graphical downgrade from the PC, even though it's able to do 1080 60 without batting an eye. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of playing on a computer with integrated graphics, because that's basically what it is. I've been bouncing back and forth between Xbox and PC, kicking myself out of the other device every single time, with this Oldsmobile Toronado with all the fancy, NASCAR-looking things on it, and just comparing the differences between the two. And there's just no comparison. I mean, Series X looks good, but it looks good for a console. There is just, I notice the photorealism come back when I go back to PC. I really got to hand it to NVIDIA. They do a hell of a job with what it is that they do. PC gaming is still better, objectively, even though it's more expensive. But you get what you pay for here. Of course, this is great for a console, but there's a reason why PCMR folks go around talking about console peasants, and this is it. I don't know if it's going to show up in the video, it probably won't. But let's switch over to PC, because there's a lot of visual effects that the graphics card does that come back when I play this on PC. Alright, welcome home to PC land, which looks far more photorealistic. There are far more effects in play, and all kinds of other stuff that make this look way more photorealistic, like I'm watching TV instead of playing a video game. Forza Horizon 5 does that really well, especially on PC. So, those of you people that say the consoles are holding PC games back, not necessarily. The best way I can describe the difference between PC and Xbox with this game is the Xbox version looks like computer graphics. The PC looks way more photorealistic. And of course, the difference between technically integrated graphics and whatnot is probably the big reason why. It's not going to show up in the YouTube video as well as it does in person, but if you have a kick-ass gaming PC, your Forza Horizon 5 is going to look way better than it ever will, even on the flagship Xbox console. Because essentially, yeah, sure, the 360, the Series X is basically a gaming PC-ish looking console, but you're still technically using an APU and integrated graphics. There's a reason why graphics cards are still a thing. And I think the difference in Forza Horizon 5 between Xbox and PC, even with the reflections that show up on the cars and all the other fancy lighting effects, including particle effects and dust and all kinds of other stuff, just fundamentally means that for multiplats, I am better off playing on PC. Period. It's cool that there are some dual purchase Xbox games where I'll have them on both platforms, but I didn't build Monolith to noodle around on an Xbox. I'm totally going to use that as essentially a green Steam machine, so to speak, for games that are specific to the Xbox ecosystem, and if I pick up a cheap used game somewhere for maybe some older gen stuff or something like that. But it really just shows that console versus PC is still huge nowadays. You find developers that actually put some effort into their PC versions of games, and you're going to have a heck of a better experience than you ever will on PC than you ever will on a console. Day 2, and this Xbox rabbit hole just keeps going deeper. So, I got Forza Horizon 4 and 5 working on the Series X, and I compared the graphics last night as well as this morning, and it's the same thing. The console technically can deliver 1080-60 or maybe 4K something for the 4K people, but what are they not telling you? Like the graphics settings and whatnot. The cars in the Forza games look like computer graphics on a Series X, the flagship console, but they look way more photorealistic on a 3060 Ti in a PC. So, always look at, with these sales pitches for what these consoles can do, especially when they look strong compared to gaming PCs, always look at what they're not telling you, or find someone who can dig for the dirty little secret. So here's what we're going to do. Monolith has been chugging along quite well. I'm going to take 2010's Monolith and nuke everything on it, turn it into a game box. That's it. A little bit of Xbox, a little bit of Steam, put the Forzas on it, and let's plug this in like we did with the Xbox, probably with the same connectors and everything, and let's play it on top of regular Monolith and just see the difference here. Alright, we got 500 miles to Chicago, full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark and we're wearing sunglasses. Wrong line. Let's see. We got a keyboard and mouse, Bluetooth nub so we can sync a controller. Everything's ready to go. Hit it! Oh yeah, it would help if I turned on the power strip.
Epic fail.
Mulligan. Oh, it also helps if you turn on the power supply.
Epic fail.
It also helps if you plug the computer back in after borrowing the Killawatt to power test a Series X.
Epic fail.
Alright, getting old sucks, but I think I finally remembered how to turn on a computer. Finally! Alright, we went from 0 power draw to what? 77, 70... Alright, remembering the numbers here with the Xbox, so a little higher when it's booting Windows. Alright, before hitting the infamous red button, or should I say blue button in this case, I went and verified, yep, Skylake i7 RTX 2060. I think we got this thing up to 32 gigs of RAM too, instead of that 24 screw up earlier. I don't know. Either way, remove everything! Well, back to the waiting game again, as we install Forza Horizon 5 on 2010's Monolith. But that's not to say I don't have anything to do here, because some stuff came in, and I took a trip to GameStop. Happened to find a copy of Forza Horizon 3 for Xbox One with their stickers galore on it, but at least they put the stickers on the outside and not on the inside, like in the bad old days. And of course, some stuff from East Starland came in that looks a heck of a lot better. I got another copy of Rampage Total Destruction, because I scratched my original DVD and it developed a bad sector. This box is Triple Play 2001 for PlayStation 1. I have reasons for wanting to play that game again. Triple Play Baseball for PlayStation 2, just curious about it, and then a whole bunch of Wii U games. Of course, East Starland loves to shrink wrap everything back up, which is really cool. Keeps the dust out, makes the games kind of look more newer, even though they're secondhand. But so you got the NES Remix pack, because I like the NES Remix games, but didn't get to play them until the service was taken down. Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U, Yoshi's Woolly World, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, and Hyrule Warriors. Basically all those big Wii U games that I never actually got to actually play. So, more fodder for catching up with what's going on with the Proto Switch. But the Forza Horizon 3 question is the one I'm most curious about. So let's answer that question first. There, now that's in the video. It's time to answer the Forza Horizon 3 question. Oh, hey, what do you know? Kudos to Logan589XP, I believe, who is floating this idea past me a while back to try and get around the whole Forza Horizon 3 issue by finding a used disc copy. Well, let's see how much of it still works.
Epic fail.
Okay, we finally have ourselves a little Forza box here. Forza Horizon 5 just finished downloading. So remember, this system is slower than some i3s from the last couple of years. So it's definitely got a couple of years on it. Too old to run Windows 11. Now, before we take this over and start comparing the graphics quality, let's do a Killawatt test to see how it's doing these days. So, with just the UI not doing very much of anything, we sit around the 30-something watt mark with this Skylake i7. So at the low end, just poking around in the UI, we're already doing better than the Xbox Series X. Now let's fire up Forza Horizon 5 and see how much higher these numbers go. Alright, we got some Forza going here, and now let's see what we got for numbers here. Now, I switched it to offline mode so there'd be some drivatars driving around and there'd be more activity on the screen. Give the graphics card a little bit more to do and also make it apples to apples with what's going on the Xbox. Running a 2060 with only 6 gigs of VRAM, I had to drop from ultra down to high settings on this machine. But basically, we have 160s and 170s occasionally heading towards the 200 mark when there's more stuff involved with the CPU. It'll actually cross the 200 watt mark when it's loading a crap ton of stuff. So, right now though, it's usually about 160 to 200 depending on the activity on the screen. So, we're basically in the ballpark. A little more power efficiency on the low end when just noodling through the UI. When games are running, we're basically in the ballpark of what the Series X does. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over, we're going to borrow the PlayStation's HDMI cable from the PS3, so I can just flip channels by flipping inputs, so to speak, on the AV receiver, and flip between Monolith, 2010's Monolith, and the Series X. We don't need Monolith as much, so I might just turn that off. But I want to be able to flip back and forth between computer and console, and see, especially on the same channel, same HDMI going into the TV, the difference in the graphics. Do we have the same difference that we have with regular Monolith? We don't need that light anymore. Do we have the same issue going on? Do we have the same difference with Monolith, where the graphics on the console side look more like integrated graphics or computer graphics, while on the NVIDIA side they look more photorealistic? Because I definitely noticed that earlier when comparing stuff, especially with a lot of sand and mud on the screen. The visual effects were definitely lower on the Series X versus the PC. So yeah, the consoles may give you 1080-60, but there's another side of the story. Usually the visual effects are nerfed. You might as well go PC whenever you get the chance to. Oh man, this is nuts. Here we go again, and this time with a 2060 on my little Steam box over there. This time with a 2060. It's the same exact thing. Sure, both machines can do 1080-60, but the NVIDIA graphics look more photorealistic on the PC, while the Xbox Series X looks more like computer graphics. So once again, the dedicated graphics still does their job pretty darn well. And the APU, well, it's technically integrated graphics in a game console. So it's like I was saying earlier, we have 1080-60 consoles these days, but they're better than previous consoles. PC gaming remains in a league of its own. Alright, switching back to the Series X, and yeah, I can still see the difference. The stuff coming out of the NVIDIA card looks more photorealistic. And what do you mean by that, Jay? Well, what I mean is, this is definitely an APU. It's definitely integrated graphics. And basically, one of the things you notice is that there's less visual effects because we're basically running an APU here in this console. It looks great. I mean, I could totally play this if I had nothing else. But on the PC, the metal looks a lot more metal than it does here. Yeah, sure, there's reflections here. There are more reflections on the GeForce. There's particle, dust, dirt, mud, and sand effects when you're rallying in the off-road tracks on here, but there's more on the GeForce. You know, I talk a lot about how we need to get to a world where an APU can do 1080-60 graphics. The consoles do that. I really think that computers should do this too. And then, of course, we know there'll still be a progression path to get better hardware for better image quality and more visual effects. So you go from, it looks like a really good computer game, to you could fool somebody into thinking that it was photos of actual cars. Some people have done memes about that on X and Facebook and even Instagram. I've seen some memes about how video games are looking a little too realistic that it almost had them fooled. You can do that a lot better with a high-end graphics card as a PC gamer, even though today's consoles will do 1080-60 and flirt around with 4K these days. Like I've been saying all along, there's always part of the story that they're not telling you, and this is that part of the story. They always try and find out what the advertisers doing the sales pitch don't want to talk about and why. Because they have their talking points, they have their script to stick to. So, you gotta break through the sales pitch to get the whole story. And that's pretty much what I've done here. Well now, this has been pretty fun now, hasn't it? Nice to finally get some questions about the Xbox Series X answered quite nicely. As well as, of course, console versus PC these days. The next time the marketers and the console fanboys come after me about, oh, consoles can do all these great things nowadays. Look, consoles sell for two reasons. Their price and their simplicity. And there's a reason why they're priced the way that they are, as we found out with the Series X. As for 2010's Monolith, I will continue converting it into a Steam box. We'll make it a Forza box first, just to start. But in terms of having a gaming PC to use as a console killer, this has really kind of settled into that role now, hasn't it? Especially with the graphical differences in Forza. Yeah! And as I wind down here, as a result of all of this, I will be adding my X-Bone controllers to my next E-Starland shipment, as well as the N64 Banjo-Kazooie, if not some other N64 games as well, now that some of this old stuff is finally getting superseded. And with 3 Xbox Series controllers now, I seriously don't need these anymore, especially when they feel like rough drafts compared to their successors. What can I say? PC gaming and Xbox continue walking hand in hand, and both sides of the equation continue to change and develop as this technology advances. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.